Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at West Valley Water District. It is approximately 7:13 in the p.m. Tonight is Thursday, August 6th, 2020. The meeting is called to order. Let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now, next up,
Under God,
prayer. Pastor Gabriel O'Brien from Casa del Rey. All right, now, next prayer. Pastor Gabriel O'Brien from Casa del Rey. All right, now, next prayer. Pastor Gabriel O'Brien from Casa del Rey. All right, now, next prayer. Pastor Gabriel O'Brien from Casa del Rey. All right, now, next prayer. Pastor Gabriel O'Brien from Casa del Rey. All right, now, next prayer. Pastor Gabriel O'Brien from Casa del Rey. All right, now, next prayer. Pastor Gabriel O'Brien from Casa del Rey. All right, now, next Thank you all for taking the time to attend or tune in to our meeting tonight.
I would like to start first with an update on COVID-19 in the West Valley Water District as cases surge again in our meeting tonight. West Valley Water District water quality safety is unaffected by coronavirus cases surge again in our meeting to not shut off water service water quality safety is who are customer service, though our customer service center is closed, representatives will still available by phone to answer any questions at 919-875-1804 or email customer service at www.questions.net. Most of our workers are telecommunicating, but for our remaining employees, extensive contact tracing and strict quarantine policies are in place to ensure their telecommunicating. But the past several months, we have become to know the real risk that COVID-19 poses to our death. Near death experience with the loss of loved ones who are finding us all, that is assessing the value of time that we have near death experience with loved ones who are finding us all. It is interesting concerns that our board at the initiative at Vice President Kyle Crawford to announce the family person that coronavirus was signed on our board, which provides the initiative at Vice President Kyle Crawford up to an edition of our person that coronavirus for COVID-19 related initiative. Although you're not required to because of the water initiative, our board members thought for the community responsibility review. Although that's not required our board of the water initiative, and our vice president thought he was charged with responsibility review. If you are sick or a family member is sick, employees should be able to take time off to care of the charge, or if their loved ones get tested, get better, your life matters to us. This is just one more way to take time off to care of you to stay safe. If you have your life work that last week, we lost another great figure in our community, Mr. David Name, to coronavirus. If you have Mr. Ryan last week, we lost another great figure. Though we may have disagreed on the myriad of issues, Mr. Ryan broke the glass ceiling, and was set, whether it was the restaurant business or the Federal Reserve, even as a leading presidential candidate. He was an inspiration to many young men and women across the country. Today, I have him as a leading campaign in his family, and he was an inspiration prayer to many young men and women across the country. Yet, though all the people of the leading campaigner we have with you, West Valley Water District's major effort to become a model organization have been recognized by the Special District Leadership Foundation with this district transparency certificate that what it means is that West Valley Water District has passed the major district transparency and accountability by providing us with a recognition that West Valley Water District, the SD helped us certificate process gave us a real path forward, and I would like to thank the SBLW, the SBN, and our public affairs conference gave us hard work and support through our reform and accreditation process. We are also proud to use this meeting to announce the expansion of the Oliver P. Romer water filtration facility that will nearly double its treatment capacity to 16 million gallons of water per day. Not only will this plant expansion drastically improve substantially by allowing for groundwater levels to replenish, it will also create jobs and drive money back into our community. I'm telling you these things because I want you all to know and see that we are making measurable progress during these times. Some have chosen to shut down and operate on life support, but we've decided to step up and grow and improve. I wish COVID-19 never happened, but I want to thank all of the West Valley Water District for helping us use this time to become an organization you deserve to work at and that your ratepayers deserve to be proud of. Thank you. With that being said, Mr. Faruqi, in regard to the public comment. Oh, adopt the agenda, I'm sorry. Adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, I'll make the motion that we adopt the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Second is agenda. There is a motion to adopt the agenda. It's been properly seconded. Secretary Ashe.
Director Dr. Michael Taylor.
Yes.
Director Greg Young.
Yes.
Director Dr. Clifford Young.
Yes.
Vice President Kyle Crowther.
Yes.
and President Channing Hawkins.
Yes. Okay, next up, public participation, Mr. Faruqi.
Under the state of the California Brown Act, the Board of Directors is prohibited from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the posted agenda. Comments related to noticed public hearings and business matters will be heard during the occurrence of the item. In an effort to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and in accordance with the governor's executive order and the order of the County of San Bernardino dated March 17th, 2020, there will be no public location for attending the board meetings in person. Members of the public may listen and provide public comments via telephone by calling the following number and access code 888-475-4499, or they may join the meeting using Zoom by clicking the following link, and it is on our agenda posted on the website. Public comments may be also submitted via email to administration@wbwd.org.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Board of Directors, President Hawkins. Tonight, we do have a number of individuals joining us via Zoom. We have received a number of correspondence in regards to an item on the agenda regarding the passing of Mr. Don Griggs. However, we can go ahead and have those public comment provided during that agenda item. Aside from that, we do have folks listening, and if anyone that would like to speak on items not listed in the agenda, please go ahead and either raise your hand virtually or go ahead and start speaking. Please introduce yourself and go ahead and start with your public comment, if you wouldn't mind. I just want to go ahead and offer up an opportunity again. If anyone does want to go ahead and provide a public comment for items not listed on the agenda or on consent, please go ahead and unmute yourself or raise your hand virtually, and we will call on you.
Okay, all right, now moving on to the first presentation. Staff, make sure you state your name, title when you come to the podium.
Board members, thank you very much for the opportunity Good evening, distinguished board members. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you and to offer you the introduction to the District of Distinction Phase 2. Can you hear me clearly? Thank you. My name is Cynthia Birds. I'm a public affairs analyst here at West Valley Water District, and I have been given the honor of having the opportunity to work with the Special District Leadership Foundation and the California Special District Association. Next button. This is our commitment to transparency and accountability. Step 1, in January of 2020, January 16th, the board gave us a direction to go ahead and complete the process for the application for Special District Leadership Foundation. We collected all of the documentation, which was probably about 300 pages. And in May of 2020, we were able to submit all of that documentation to the Special District Leadership Foundation. On June 23rd, 2020, the board of the Special District Leadership Foundation met in a special meeting, and their honorable board did approve West Valley Water District the Transparency Certificate of Excellence. That now considers West Valley Water to be a district of distinction. And as a district of distinction, we will be required to maintain all policy and procedures. Board and staff will have professional development and maintain 3 years of acceptable annual audits. The Special District Governance Certification is our next certificate that we're looking for. And our goal is to achieve that in a gold level. What will need to happen at this point is all of our board members will have the opportunity to complete the Special District Leadership Academy. The Academy has 4 specific modules: Governance Foundation, go back one, 2, setting direction for community leadership, board's role in human resources, and finance and fiscal responsibility. Once the board has completed those 4, they will still have to complete 10 additional hours of training. With that is your ethics training and your human resources training, which you've already completed. So that takes us into our next step.
Everybody's completed their human resource training?
That is
All
what I've
of
done
them?
so far.
Okay.
Now, I know that you guys have new ones that are coming up.
Right.
And the ones that you are currently scheduled for the month of August is for harassment.
Right.
So that's the next ones that are coming up. That's what we.
That's
need to
what you
complete.
mean when you say human resources, is harassment and,
Yes, sir.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
We clarified so we can all be a part of it.
President Hawkins and members of the board, yes, in fact, all the training has been completed. That is required of this, and that is for the board as well as for the general manager. So thank you.
Okay.
You mean ethics and harassment have been completed?
Ethics has been completed. Harassment, I don't believe, has been. That's part of the second component to
I have,
this.
and you have my certificate.
I do have your certificate for ethics, but not the harassment. I don't have a current harassment. We need that.
Okay, but that was, someone was supposed to send us a link for that, and I haven't got
Okay.
it.
We'll be sure to go ahead and follow up and make sure it gets on your calendar.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so once we have the, completed from the Human Resources Department, that's why I left that general for Human Resources, so that they can take care of that for you. Once we have those trainings, that'll be 4 hours of the 10 that need to be completed, then we'll just have the 6 more that we'll have to finish off. Special District Administration certification is a 3rd step that we do have on board for this training. This is a different certification, and this will help us to achieve the platinum level. Once all of our board members have completed the Leadership Foundation certifications and their 10 hours of training, and our general manager completes the governance and administration certification, we will hit that platinum level. The administration certification, our general manager is already participating in the training, and once he completes that group training, he has successful completion of the special district certification. The certification will help us to document what he's already completed, recognize the general manager's knowledge and skills and capability as a special district administrator. So here we are today. On the top line, you see the transparency certification, which is us as a district of distinction. That's our first level. We have accomplished that goal. Our second level is recognition in governance. That's where those 4 modules will come into place. As soon as,
A majority of the board?
yes, as soon as 3 of the board members have completed that step, we will receive the silver status. Once all 5 board members complete this step and our general manager, that will take us to gold. Once all 5 board members, our general manager complete that, and our general manager completes the administration certification, we will then be a District of Distinction Platinum level. So it's going to be a lot of work to get us there. We have the opportunity to participate with the Special District Leadership Foundation and Association for the training programs, modules, all offered via online webinars. We are hosting some of these programs here online, on site. Our next one more. Our next one that we have coming up for a training is August the 29th at 9 a.m. That is a in-house hosting where 5 of our board members and 15 of our executive staff can come here and meet and complete that first module for the training. We also have 2, 3, and 4 that are coming up. We're working on those schedules for you now so that we can have those hosted here, and we're hoping to be able to offer an invitation to other districts to come and attend as well once the COVID restrictions have been released. We're also taking advantage of many of the trainings for our administrative staff, executive team, and for our, yes, sir.
They moved the slide.
I don't think it's, no, it just didn't show what's on the.
Page, so next to the last page.
Mhm.
We get a
Do we get a certificate for PowerPoint?
Well, you do have a portion of that in front of you, that second to the last page. And what we were going over is there's other participating departments that are taking advantage of these trainings. Our human resources team and our board president did come together and complete the human resources boot camp. We also have a finance class that is taking place on next Tuesday. This one is a webinar online. I believe our vice president and our board president are going to be taking that one as well, and our CFO. Outstanding. And we also have upcoming an additional training. I don't see that one up there yet.
It's like showing blank.
Okay. So ultimately what I'm trying to say is we have so many opportunities for all of our board, our administrative staff, and our staff to be a part of and take advantage of the opportunity to become a part of the Special District Leadership Foundation, California Special District Association, and be acknowledged as a platinum level district of distinction.
Well, I do just want to say a few things with that. One is thank the public affairs team. Thank you, Ms. Burtz. Thank you, Mr. Faruqi, for the job that you're doing in regard to the special districts and keeping us abreast and keeping everyone actively engaged. I do want to acknowledge that over the last month or so, a number of our staff members have been involved in the special districts programs. Also want to acknowledge Lizette, Maisha, and Peggy, because they were involved in the board and the public, the PRA training on Public Records Act. And so they've done their part. I also want to recognize our CFO, Mr. Bamblehall, because he's been involved in the HR training and the upcoming CFO training. I also want to thank Mr. Pignon, because I know he's getting a lot of energetic calls from me about how can we get more, and him and his team are putting together some stuff, and we have a big one coming up, which I wanted to encourage particularly our staff members. We're not retirees yet, like some of the board members. And we haven't made it to, vice chancellors, the vice president, deans of university, associate chancellors of universities, or chiefs of police yet. But for those of us who haven't, we have training coming up within the next week. So you want to be a general manager. I think it's important for our staff here to take advantage of that opportunity. Many of us, are here. I think it's important that everyone gets trained. They don't see this, I see this opportunity as a place for all of us to grow and be aspirational. I think it's very important that we get involved and individuals have pathways to become the leader here. It's very important because we have to plan for our future 20 years, 30 years down the line, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever many years down the line, for us to be able to be an incubator for strong leaders in the water and special districts in industry. Anybody got anything to say? Everybody coming to the governance training? We excited? No? Wait, we're not gonna, I'll be at the governance training. I'll be at the governance training. I don't know who else will be there, but I will be there at the governance training. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Thank you for your time. Good night.
All right, next up, we have update on Oliver P. Romer Water Filtration Facility Expansion.
Good evening.
Good evening. Linda Jadesky, Engineering Services Manager here at West Valley Water District. I'd like to say good evening to the president and board members. Thank you for the opportunity to give an update on the Oliver P. Romer Water Filtration Facility Expansion Project. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to introduce Mr. Jamal Awad. He is the project manager for GHD, the consultant working with us on the project. And he has over 30 years of experience in water treatment, and he will be providing some information on GHD. And Jamal, I will, if you could...
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate the opportunity, and good evening to everybody. GHD is an employee-owned. We've been in business since 1928, and it's one of the premier international firms across the board. There were over 10,000 people globally. Next. Although we're a global company, we have many projects in Southern California, and we highlighted here a few of those with direct relevant experience to the expansion at the Romer filtration facility. So it's an honor to present these qualifications. Next slide. I'd like to highlight three particular projects. The owner engineering for the WIC Advanced Water Treatment Facility, or WRV, and that's now also known as the Outlet Wilderness Center. It's a progressive design build with meeting the Title 22 reclaimed water criteria and providing significant groundwater recharge.
Nothing cannot be 32 feels good again. Keep on, just put a please.
Please, can someone put themselves on mute, please? Can someone put themselves on mute, please? Thank you. Someone's TV or music or something is on the background. If they can put themselves on mute, please.
For years. And about a month ago, I talked with Keith Barber, a manufacturer that Jason Day works with each week along.
Thank you.
Much better.
Okay.
We are currently providing the owner engineering for the Unity South project for the South Coast Water District, and that with a significant upgrades to reliability to their drinking water supply. And for many years, we provided the owner engineering for the landmark project in Carlsbad, which is the largest desal project worldwide in North America. So with those projects, it gives us a great experience and relevance. We brought in, next slide, please. We've assembled a very highly experienced project team. As Linda mentioned, I have 30 years of experience in water quality and treatment. Worked for many utilities, districts, and cities in Southern California. Most of my career is in Southern California. The project leads on the project team have combined experience more than 200 years of that. So tremendous amount of experience. Most of the project team is local and it's accessible to the district. We have a unique feature to our project team. We assembled a subject matter expert panel, a blue ribbon panel, and those people have over 220 total years of experience to guide the project. I want to highlight features of GHD. We're certified not only in quality as ISO 9001, but also for the environment and most importantly for health and safety as well. Next. Blue Ribbon Panel. It's chaired by Chris Herzl. He's a global market lead for GHG in drinking water, and he is an adjunct professor for the University of Queensland. He came originally from Australia, but he is in the Irvine office currently as of 2 years ago. Feng Liang is known to the some district staff, and he has a long career with Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. He was the water purification engineer, and currently he is in charge of the reclamation water unit. Jim Borchard is the principal technologist for Stantec in Southern California. Bill Bellamy was the lead water treatment expert for CH2ML, and he is currently an adjunct professor in the University of Wyoming. Rhodes Trussell is also was the lead technologist for Stantec NWH for many years, and now he has his own company as Trussell Technologies. Jim Vicker is the president and a membrane expert. We have him on the team for any aspects to do with membrane treatment technologies. With that, if any questions on GHD or the team composition?
No, I think we're fully confident in the firm that has been selected and their background, particularly. The board members did have an opportunity to review and approve this contract. We believe in GHD and the project that they're doing. We would like to get to the main portion of the presentation about Romer itself and what you all are proposing that we do.
So thank you very much, Jamal.
Excellent. Turn it back to Linda.
Thank you, Jamal. And not only do we have with us this evening Jamal Awad, but we also have Rob Catherman, who's also a consultant on the project working with us. So during the presentation, he'll also be adding information as we go along. I'll go through the slides quickly. In 1995, the original Oliver P. Romer water filtration facility was constructed to allow the district to utilize their surface water rights in Lytle Creek and use it for potable water. It was expanded in 1998 to allow state project water treatment, and in 2003, plans for a 3-phase expansion were started. In 2006, phase 1 and phase 2 of that expansion was completed, and it expanded the capacity to 14.4 mg, added additional treatment technology, turbidity removal, UV disinfection, Lytle Creek Pump Station, and other facilities. In 2007, phase 3 expansion was put on hold due to the recession. Fast forward 11 years later, and we have a resurgence in development and an increase in water demand. At that point, plans to expand the Romer were revived, and here we are today. Our current water sources are 59% groundwater, 40% of that is from the district wells, 19% is from the baseline feeder, 21% is Lytle Creek surface flow, and 20% is state project water, both treated at the Romer. So the expansion of the Romer facility will entail expansion of state project water usage. Our current customers are paying for state project water infrastructure as part of their property tax bills. And we, at West Valley, are paying the cost of 126 acre-feet per foot for state project water, which is considerably lower than some of our neighboring agencies. State project water is used to supplement our groundwater supply. So we've had some water supply reduction. We've had some wells put back into service, but we also have some wells that are out of service due to various contaminants, which totals production loss of over 10 million gallons per day. With that loss of production, we're seeing an increase in demand. Future development in the West Valley service area is expanding, particularly in the north system, the northern part of our system. 34% of our land area is undeveloped. As you can see, that's a photo of North Fontana, which will be a lot of homes at some point in the near future. It's expected to have 21,000 new connections with a peak day demand of 53.8 MGD. And so the Romer expansion is needed before all of that development occurs. The major residential developments, some of which the gray are already in construction. The ones in yellow are new projects that are proposed to be breaking ground within the next year. This is a map showing the location of those major developments. We also have other smaller developments occurring. So the need for expansion, new development equals new water demand. And the Oliver P. Romer, as it is today, is operating at maximum capacity. We're also seeing lower groundwater levels, which is threatening production in some of our wells. And we're reduced in pumping in some areas due to water regs. By relaxing groundwater pumping and using state project water, we will be able to allow basins to recover. So with the new residential development requiring additional supply, not only will we need to expand the Romer facility, but we will also need new wells. The Romer expansion is envisioned in a two-phase, with the first phase being 7.2 MGD, where we would maximize capacity of our existing facilities, utilize the current footprint that we have at the facility to allow the site at Linden and Riverside to be used for other purposes. That would expand the capacity from 14.4 to 21.6 MGD. So for the North System water supply, as you can see, not only would the phase 1 expansion of the Romer be needed, but additional wells in the Bunker Hill that would come online. And this table, even though you can't see the green very well, each year with the additional new demand, our existing facilities are having to provide water to those new demands. So as you can see, each year we get lower and lower, although we are supplying it from other sources. When we put in 2 new wells, you can see that it is still not enough. So the Romer also has to go in. So you can see we've kind of staggered it to the point where we would be meeting those demands. So our partner GHD, they're evaluating our existing facility. They've assembled a panel of experts. They're also going to be doing a stress test of our existing facility to see how much we could put through the plant without additional construction, thereby saving some costs. They're looking at treatment alternatives and engaging with DDW early so that we can go through a smooth permitting process. As I said, they're maximizing, particularly looking at our pretreatment to see if that facility can accommodate additional flow so that does not need to be expanded. They're looking at reliable and cost-effective ways to save us some money, and we'll be doing 30% design for a progressive design build delivery model. And at that point, they'll be helping us select a design build firm to go into construction. These are some of the things that they're looking at to expand upon without too much expenditure. One being operating our GAC in parallel instead of series. And another is upgrading our UV by putting in a newer model, which is rated at a higher flow. No additional modifications need to be made. A quick timeline from 2008 till hopefully the end of construction date. We are currently in the green, or just past the green, where the analysis is being done. with the hopes of the expansion being complete by March of 2024. The cost estimate for this expansion in 2 phases. Phase 1 would be 7.2 MGD and estimated to be 35 million. The second phase, which would be further down the line, would be an additional 20. The big question, how are we going to pay for this? So projected new revenue over the next 25 years from all of that new development, the capacity charges paid by the developers is estimated to be between 3 and 6 million annually. Those capacity charges will pay for the Romer expansion and the new wells. No rate increases for existing customers are proposed. With those additional connections, we also have annual revenues that will be received from that new development, which is estimated to be almost $600,000 per year.
Repeat what? Okay.
So that would be the monthly meter fee charge and the estimated water usage for each of those new connections. And the last slide that I have for you this evening, I'm going to hand over to our CFO, Mr. Amanda Hall.
Thank you, Linda. Good evening, everyone. Great presentation, by the way. Thank you very much, very detailed. I think this is a wonderful project that we're embarking on, so we should all really be excited about what this holds for us in the future. And from that perspective, let me jump into the financing, right? So just a word of caution, the financing options that are before you are very, very, very raw. I did the computation with the utilization of one of my colleagues that's in the business of financing. So what we did here was we looked at 2 different options, and the first one was borrowing some money getting the WIFA loan for half the amount, and then issuing some revenue bonds for the other half, because the WIFA loans are limited to dollar amounts. And with that, the combination of the 2 structure, we would probably end up paying about 1.8 million in debt service over the life of the loan, but there is no debt service payments during the construction phase, so that's very critical, which is nice. So we have at least some leeway before we start repaying. The other option is revenue bonds, borrowing the $35 million outright. With that option, our approximate debt service payment would be about 2.3 million annually. And both of these options, with the projected new revenue that we just saw of approximately 600,000, will be able to satisfy and help us with the debt service payments, in addition to capacity charges that we already have in our CIP fund. So I don't think it's going to be very detrimental to us from a financial standpoint, providing that these options unfold as realistic as we can get. But what I did was I took the worst case scenario from an interest amount, from a borrowing perspective, and from the expectancy of repayment.
Dr. Young.
Yes. Ricky,
And let me add one. I'm sorry. One more thing just came into mind. With the revenue bond option, we can utilize the revenues
that's generated in computing our debt covenants ratio, which is very critical for us. So, that's another positive spin on it.
First, let me thank Linda. We spent time in a Zoom meeting a couple of weeks ago that she cleared up a lot of questions for me. I have a couple for you, Ricky. In this $17 million loan, is that requiring us to come up with any of our funding for that?
No.
And is this a state loan or federal?
Well, no, so if the two options, the first, are you referring to the 17, the 50-50 split where 17 is the WIFA loan and 17.8 is the revenue bonds, right?
Yes, I'm talking about the 17.
Yeah, so the 17, the WIFA loan, we would have the application fee and the processing fee for that portion of it.
Is it private or government?
No, that's the state, federal, or,
Okay,
yeah.
this is the federal loan.
Yeah, that's the federal portion of it that, Jamie, is working, has been educating us on.
Okay, all right.
Our lobbyists, I'm sorry.
But as I understood it, and I could be wrong, because he's presented a lot of options to us.
Yes.
That we would have to come up with 50% of this amount.
That I have to confirm. I haven't, yeah.
Let's confirm.
Yes, that I have to confirm.
It is 51%.
It is 51, so we would have to match
It only
51%.
does 49%. We would have to come up with 51%.
Oh, actually, you're right. I have it down here at the bottom. It says 49%.
So we would have to come up
so-
with 49.
So the,
We'd have to come up with 51%, but what we should do is go after state revolving fund for 25% more or so.
Okay, and that would reduce ours to about 24%?
Right.
Okay.
so let me,
Hold on, because I think that was a good point. I'm sorry.
So we would put together a package to cover this amount, which we would have to put in about
25% or so.
about 25%.
yes,
And that's 25% of the 17 million?
of the 17.1, yeah.
And the rest, the revenue bonds will cover the other.
The 51%, yes.
And as I understand, just one more question. That would be, I'm looking for the phases, which page would that be on?
Phase one.
That would just pay for phase one.
Exactly.
And with 2035, I won't be around 25. I'm gonna last that long. Okay.
So, yeah.
I got it. I understand it.
And the other option, which is a little bit more pricier, however, we won't have to come up with any money up front if we do the pure revenue bonds. I just want to point that out. All we have to do is pay for the cost of issuance. So the two options.
I'm good.
Director Young. What? All right,
I mean, this is like the fourth time I've had this presentation.
Oh, okay.
So I'm good,
Yeah,
thank you.
You're good. I was wondering, I was like, it had to pass the grade test, because he hadn't asked any
4
questions.
times.
Okay, so first and foremost, I want to thank Linda on the putting this together. I haven't had the pleasure of having this 4 times, but I know as the newest board member, I wanted to be educated on this, and this lays it out in a way that even I can understand, so I thank you for that. Now, going back to the finance options, I did hear the general manager say there may be something else that we can do. I don't know, are we limited to these 2 options? Are there multiple? Okay, all right. So at some point, now that we have an overview of the kind of project and what needs to happen, are we gonna have, I don't wanna step into the finance committee or the engineering committee's territory, but a more elaborate set of options with the financing and what the projections are than just what we have here, so we can
I would defer to the finance committee on
Yeah.
that.
We have been discussing this, both on the finance committee, a little bit on, in external affairs, but not
A
much.
little bit.
But there
We gotta
are,
help them.
but there are a lot of options here. These are two, I think, that they,
It was,
These
these
are the
were
basic
the two
options.
simplified ones for this purpose.
Purpose.
Because again, remember, we're still trying to hammering out the details and cost factor and then looking to where we need to go.
we can't move forward on any of this until we have the preliminary plans, right, Linda?
Actually, we have to move forward with our application because we're up against time.
Which application?
With you?
Yeah, so if you're gonna do WIFIA, you kind of have to get the ball going on that soon.
Okay, so when can we, what is soon?
Well, the deadlines are October. I'm not sure, but we have to have an application.
Okay,
deadline.
so
This chart here reflects October.
right, but I know that with you, it appears to be a very good and cost efficient way. But I just think as far as the financing, can we get a more robust presentation regarding our financing options than what we have here? Is that?
We're gonna have to do that, yeah.
Okay, then
Yeah, that's,
These here are just.
giving us a ballpark,
some-
worst
right,
case
some
scenario.
ballpark, But we're gonna have to have a real detailed. plan.
Yeah, I would have, okay.
And I would also encourage you guys to have Jamie, on the conversation too, because I know he joined Kyle and I, on the engineering committee.
You guys got the good stuff.
Well, but they were talking a bit of the financing even then, but I mean, obviously, there's the federal aspects and that there may be other things that we can pursue to help draw down our portion of that cost.
Okay.
Jamie brought this option to us.
Yeah.
So we need to, in our next meeting, next week, I think, let's
2
just, 2 weeks?
no, you're talking about finance
Oh,
committee.
I'm
yeah.
talking about finance
Okay.
committee meeting. We can begin to have a discussion and drilling down, if this is the option we wanna go.
Well, and that's exactly what we need to decide. There are lots of options, but we have to hone in on one and just pursue one, which would be, the best interest of the district.
Let's
to
put
take-
that
to
on
take
the
advantage.
agenda for the next meeting.
Well,
It is,
Next finance committee.
Are you-
not
It is on the
finance
agenda.
committee.
oh, boy.
Huh?
Look at the
It's on the-
chairperson's being so protective over there, their jurisdiction there, right?
What's that?
Talking about financing for the project is on the
Yes.
finance committee agenda.
Right,
Yeah,
for the next
for the next one.
finance committee meeting.
Yeah.
Wednesday,
All right,
it's on the agenda,
Wednesday.
on Wednesday the 12th.
Okay,
excellent,
1 o'clock.
at
All right.
1 o'clock, not 12.
okay,
Okay,
all right.
and then, do we need a preliminary approval to go ahead with this? The plan?
I mean, they're still working basically on
Still
it.
working.
Yeah.
Okay, so it
This is
goes,
just a presentation.
This is just a presentation, so we would have something, and for the members of, me and the members of the public, we have an idea of what is going on and what we have to do and what we're gonna do, and be able to know where their ratepayer dollars are going, and why we're doing what we're doing.
okay.
Anything else? Thank you very much, Linda, we appreciate it, thank you. All right, great presentation. All right, up next, we're moving on to the consent calendar.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to move items 1 through 14, that is my motion, do I have a second?
Okay,
What was the motion?
move item 1 through 14
I'll second.
on consent.
Mr.
Wait,
President?
hold on. Yes,
Can I chime in? Item number 12, I would like to comment on that item. I want to bring something to the board's attention before you vote on that item.
all right, well,
I have a motion.
what's your motion?
My motion is that, we approve 1 through 11.
Well, okay, 1 through 11,
Mr. President,
mm-hmm. But his motion's on the floor.
He didn't have a second.
He did, Kyle seconded it.
Oh,
Yeah, Kyle seconded.
Well, it's been moved and seconded.
Mr. President, I would like to pull item number 10 for further discussion.
Okay, 10 for further discussion. All right, that's your request. All right, but they have a motion on the floor. We're gonna go through, what do we have, 10? What, I don't
one
even,
through 14, you said.
1 through 14.
They want to move the whole thing.
Okay.
I'm just
Hold
asking.
on. Yeah, wait, hold on.
Director Taylor,
Mhm.
yeah, do you want to accept that friendly amendment to pull 10? I'd like to move items 1 through 14, that is my motion. Okay.
And then the friendly amendment was what, or what were you
So I'm
recommending?
just asking for a board member's right to pull something from consent, so I'm just asking for number 10 to be done separately.
Okay, was somebody asking for something else?
I think he, well,
Are you-
our CFO was asking for.
I'm not a voting member, I was just saying, I wanted to. Come on, Stan, you guys are supposed to work this out before. All right. All right, somebody else want something that's it?
We got a motion.
Okay, all right. All right, okay, Secretary Ashe, call for the vote.
Director Dr. Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Director Greg Young,
Can I get clarification on what we're voting on? Is it the full?
items 1 through 14.
The full without pulling items?
Right.
No.
Well, we should have purposely.
Hold on. Let's have a vote. Did you call it?
Director Dr. Clifford Young,
No.
Vice President Kyle Crowther,
Yes.
and President Channing Hawkins.
No.
Okay,
Now,
3-2.
okay, it's 3-2. All right, all right. So is there a second motion, hopefully with brief discussion?
I'll make the motion that we move the consent calendar with the exception of item 10 and I guess 12, just to give our CFO a chance to.
I second.
All right, been moved and seconded. Item, Secretary Ashe, there's a motion on the floor to move on the consent calendar, item 1 through 14, except pulling item 10 and 12. It's been properly seconded. Secretary Ashe, call for the vote.
Director Dr. Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Director Greg Young,
Yes.
Director Dr. Clifford Young,
Yes.
Vice President Kyle Crowther,
Yes.
and President Channing Hawkins.
Yes. All right, so item number 10, what we got?
Who can speak to this item for staff? Martine or?
No, who wanted item number 10?
But I would like to hear from someone from on staff, because there wasn't much.
What are your
staff.
questions?
My question is, I'd like to know a little more about this program, because this was pretty light as far as a staff report, so who can speak to this item?
Oh, well, if you opining just in general,
I'm not
Okay,
finding
well,
in general,
well,
I have some questions about a little more detail.
please ask the questions. I mean, as a courtesy, we
Well, my first
pulled the
question-
item, so.
Correct, sir, and
Mhm.
my first question is, who should I direct these questions to with staff? Mr. General Manager, I mean, someone?
Okay, Martin?
That's not my item, so I'll be happy to respond to questions.
Whose item is it?
CFO's item?
Okay, well, I mean, the little bit which is here, I don't necessarily have an issue with, but I was just curious, what exactly do you have to do, to get these incentives? I mean, it basically says they have to participate, but what are the requirements? I mean, I just want a little more information. Someone help me out there?
It's a program that we're introducing
Mm-hmm.
for employees that are the entire district, not just any specific employee.
Yeah.
If they would like to participate, there is no requirement, you have to be, you're employed with the district, and you wanna, if you wanna retire, you can use this as a retirement incentive. If you would like to, seek something else, you can utilize this as an opportunity.
Is this the item we were discussing in the budget?
Yes.
Okay, because the way this was worded, it kind of sounded to me like it was like a health incentive, so I was kind of wondering what what they had to do to get the incentive. So maybe just confusion on the way it was worded.
Yeah, or basically notify HR that they will.
Okay, I understand now, so I'll go ahead and move the item, but it was just a little unclear, so I just wanted to know what they had to do. Okay, I'll move the item.
It's been moved, the item has been, there's a motion and has been properly seconded. Let's call for the vote.
Director Dr. Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Director Greg Young,
Yes.
Director Dr. Clifford Young,
Yes.
Vice President Kyle Crowther,
Yes.
and President Channing Hawkins.
Yes, okay, moving on to item number 12.
Thank you for the consideration. Looking at this, I have one concern on the second page of staff recommendation, third paragraph. It reads, additionally, staff recommends that the board consider approving reimbursing employees for associated costs employees incurred when testing and quarantining. Examples of these expenses are co-pays, cost of test, and hotel stays. I am objecting to that language in here simply because we are having a really challenging time getting reimbursed from FEMA. FEMA does not even reimburse for these types of expenses, and I'm not certain why we would want to commit ourselves to do that. Everything else I'm okay with, I just don't agree with that.
All right, Mr. CFO, that sounds very reasonable to me. Is there a motion on the floor?
I'll make the motion that we adopt the item with the CFO's recommendations.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Secretary Ashley, call for the vote.
Director Dr. Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Director Greg Young,
Yes.
Director Dr. Clifford Young,
Yes.
Vice President Kyle Crowther,
Yes.
and President Channing Hawkins.
Yes. Okay, all right, moving on. All right, now, the first item on business matters, contract for electrical power ATS replacement at Romer Plant.
Mr. President, unless there's anything that of particular somebody wants to discuss, I'll make the motion we move item 15 forward.
I mean, okay, just hold for, see if there's discussion.
No.
Any discussion?
Other than I just feel bad for him coming up and not saying anything.
Hey, Joe came, so we said, if Joe wants it, he got it. Joe wants it, you got it, man. So, is there a second?
Yes.
All right, there's a second. Okay, seeing no discussion, Secretary Ashley, call for the vote.
You were very convincing. Yes.
Director Dr. Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Director Greg Young,
Yes.
Director Dr. Clifford Young,
Yes.
Vice President Kyle Crowther,
Yes.
and President Channing Hawkins.
Yes. Okay, all right, so moving on to item number 16, before we get into any discussion, I just want to make a brief statement. And regarding the tribute to Mr. Don Griggs. Mr. Don Griggs was a well-known face at West Valley Water District's board meeting. Don Griggs served with honor and integrity as the president of the West Valley Water District Ratepayers Association and the West Side Action Group. In addition to his work in the utility industry, he fought for over 40 years to improve the political and economic condition of particularly African Americans in our local community and throughout the county. Ultimately, his leadership and tenacity for civil rights led to equitable improvements and victories for every resident. His life and legacy of leadership, service, and most of all, his mentorship and friendship to me will be missed by all. At the last board of directors meeting, I asked to bring back an item at the meeting for our board to discuss a way to give a proper tribute to Mr. Griggs. Tonight, I'm asking my colleagues to join me in honoring Mr. Griggs for his lifetime service to our community, and most especially as the president of the West Valley Ratepayers Association. Mr. Faruqi, can we have public comment? Oh, before we have public comment, I want to enter into the record, there are 3 letters that I have provided to each board member from community leaders regarding Mr. Griggs. One from the mayor of Rialto, Ms. Deborah Robertson. Secondly, I'd like to enter into the record a letter from Reverend Dr. Joshua Beckley from Ecclesia Christian Fellowship, my pastor, as well as Mr. Griggs' pastor. I'd also like to welcome the interim president of the West Valley Water District, Ms. Jean, this evening, who I think served a good number of years at San Bernardino Valley, Cal State San Bernardino, on the staff there, well-noted professor and mentor and administrator at San Bernardino Valley, Cal State San Bernardino. Enter all 3 of those records. I hope the Mike and Kyle should have gotten them via email. With that being said, Mr. Faruqi.
Good evening, President Hawkins, members of the board. I'd like to go ahead and start with public comment. If there is anyone on Zoom, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself or raise your hand virtually, we'll go ahead and let you in. If you do have a public comment.
I'm not on Zoom, but I'm Jane Peacock. Is it possible that I could go ahead and make my statement?
Yes, please do, Dr. Peacock.
Thank you.
How are you doing this evening?
So very much. I'm doing well. Thank you so very much.
And congratulations being selected congratulations and taking on the leadership as the interim president of the West Valley Water District Ratepayers Association.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. I am the interim president. I'm also, as you previously stated, I'm a retired professor of psychology at California State University, San Bernardino. I have lived in Rialto for 50 years, and therefore I'm a customer of the West Valley Water District. I have attended several meetings of the board, and more recently I toured the plant with the Westside Action Group. I speak before you tonight to thank you for considering our request to name the hydroelectric generation plant after our recently deceased co-founder and president, John Griggs. We believe that this is a benefiting tribute to him and his mentor, Oliver Romer, since they were both employees and managers at Edison. Mr. Griggs was a very well-respected member of our community. I also attend Ecclesia Christian Church, and he was also a good member and a member of my Bible study as well. He fought for transparency and business to the public, by the West Valley Water District to provide safe, clean, high quality, and reliable water at a reasonable cost in a sustainable manner to its customers. I and members of the Ratepayers Association know that naming the plant after Mr. Griggs will help restore the image of and improve community relations with the West Valley Water District. So I thank you for hearing me out, and I also thank you for considering our request to add the name of Don Griggs to the hydroelectric generation plant. And I really look forward to working with you in a collegial manner. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Peacock. Is there anyone else online that would like to go ahead and offer their public comment? If not, I do have a few public comments that have been submitted.
I would like to make a statement, if possible.
Could you please state your name?
Mr. Walter Hawkins.
Walter Hawkins.
That's right. How you doing, Professor Hawkins?
I'm doing fine.
Okay. Good. Good to hear from you.
Pardon me?
I said good to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you.
Would you like to go ahead and start your public comment?
Okay. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of the honorary Don Group. I have the pleasure of knowing and working with Don for over 40 years also as a member of the West Valley District Ratepayers Association. He was a member of the West Side Action Group and a fellow business owner. During my 9 years as a member of the Alto School Board, Mr. Griggs supported programs for students, parents, and personnel in the district. In addition to serving our country as a Marine, he enjoyed supporting a wide range of civic and community organizations in this region, where he earned the respect of all that he served. So I would like to thank you for considering Mr. Griggs in terms of maintaining the hydroelectric generation plant.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Next up.
And we do have Councilman Joe Baca from the city of Rialto online as well, I believe.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, West Valley Water Board, first of all, for taking the opportunity to honor Mr. Griggs. Me and Mr. Griggs actually go back over 40 years when I was just a young child. Myself and his nephew, Daryl McChristian, and Jules, who grew up here in Rialto, and Don used to come watch us play basketball, baseball, so we've known each other for many years. But most of all, Don really cared about civil rights, civil justice, and helping others and doing what's right for the community. He was a big advocate on behalf of the ratepayers of the West Valley Water District, and was a great man. He served our country, and one of the things that Don really did was he loved Rialto and he loved his community. And I think it would be an honor to name the hydroelectric plant after him. Don's a great guy, small businessman in this community, sold his ties, which he's well known for. But he's a great man, and he's going to be well missed in this community. It would be a well thought thing to name the hydroelectric plant after Mr. Griggs. I just want to thank you for your time, and thank you, West Valley Water District.
Thank you, Councilman Baca. Next.
Thank you.
Good evening. Do we have anyone else on the phone that would like to go ahead and provide a public comment? I'll go ahead and give you 5 seconds if there's anyone else. I do have other statements that have been submitted into the record. I'll go ahead and start with Hardy Brown. Black Voice News, public comments regarding your tribute to Mr. Don Griggs. I read in your agenda, item number 16 is a tribute to my friend Don Griggs. And I want to thank you for being so respectful and kind to his wife and family. I understand you sent her some flowers and is considering paying a tribute to her husband's contribution to the community and West Valley Water District. As you know, I have known Don for 5 decades, and to quote Mayor Deborah Robertson of Rialto, Don is a legend based on the work he has done and the lives he has touched. In the past week, we have learned a lot of his accomplishments and contributions to our society, and I want to add one more. In the book of Deuteronomy 5:16, it states, honor thy father and...
Here, hold on, guys.
The mute button, please, for someone. Thank you.
Honor thy father and thy mother, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee. in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. This is the first commandment with the promise of Don has been true to it. Don was a caretaker for his 94-year-old mother up until the day he passed, and he took that responsibility seriously. It is promised that his days should be prolonged in the memory of those who knew him and those who will hear about his works in this land where he called home. What you are considering here tonight will help in fulfilling the commandment for Don Griggs in Rialto, that city he loved. So join with those who are suggesting that you name the hydroelectric generation plant in honor of Donald Don Griggs to give us an opportunity for a new beginning for West Valley Water District in the community. We also have a letter from Mayor Deborah Robertson, Honorable Mr. Hawkins. This letter is concerning my friend and constituent Don Griggs' legacy from the work he has done in our community. I wish to share just a few things that have meant the world to me. I read about his employment at Edison and the scouting program. I know about his business venture in Irv Silver's men clothing store and ties designed by Don. I just learned that you wish to do something to honor his name for the work he did as president of the West Valley Water District Ratepayers Association. I support the idea that you and the directors name the hydroelectric generation plant after him because his mission was that all customers should have clean, safe water at a reasonable rate. This is a small gesture that will go a long way to help rebuild the West Valley Water District image in our community. Thank you for considering this request to name the hydroelectric generation plant after Don Griggs. Sincerely, Deborah Robertson, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Robertson, for your letter.
We also do have a letter from Ecclesia Christian Fellowship.
Yes.
Honorable Mr. Hawkins, this letter is concerning our brother, Mr. Donald Griggs, and his legacy of the work he did in our church and community. I do not know of all the things that he was involved in, but I do know that his reputation was impeccable. I've read about his employment at Edison and the scouting program. I know about his business venture with Irv Silver's men's clothing store and ties designed by Don. But more importantly than all his community involvement, I know what he has contributed to the Ecclesia Christian Fellowship family. I just learned that you wish to do something in his honor for the work he did as president of the West Valley Water District Ratepayers Association. I support the idea to name the generation plant after him, hydroelectric plant after him, since his mission was that all customers should have clean, safe water at a reasonable rate. This would be a small gesture that will certainly help rebuild the WVWD image in our community. Thank you for your consideration to name the hydroelectric generation plant in honor of our brother Donald Griggs. Yours in Christ, Dr. Joshua Beckley.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Joshua Beckley.
I do have one more. Public remarks from Mrs. Griggs. This is from Celeste Griggs, dated August 6, 2020. To the directors, President Hawkins, Vice President Crowther, Dr. Taylor, Dr. Young, Mr. Mr. Menzel Jr., General Manager, and staff. I want to thank you for the beautiful flowers you sent to me and the girls. It lifted my spirit during this difficult time of grief of my husband of 55 years. John and I shared a lot of good times together, including the last 2 years of involvement with you. He would share the meetings, interactions of him and his buddy Hardy with you and the tough issues you faced as directors. That brings me to say thank you again for considering naming the hydroelectric plant in his honor. I must say I learned a lot when I toured the Oliver P. Romer water filtration facility with my husband and members of the Westside Action Group last year. It was very educational to all of us. If you approve this, it will be a befitting tribute to Don and his mentors of Oliver Romer, Eastern Division Manager, and Alan Yahtzee, District Manager at Edison. These two gentlemen are the reason Hardy and Don were involved in the scouting program and other community organizations like the United Way. Again, thank you for your kindness.
Thank you, Ms. Griggs.
If you can give me 1 second, just to double check that I don't have another.
She made a statement, and we entered a statement. She made that statement. She was live, and we entered her letter into the record, though.
That is it, Mr. Board President. If there is, however, anyone that would like to make a statement and is on the phone, I just want to go ahead and make one more opportunity. That concludes public comment, Mr. President.
Yes, I want to make the motion to name the hydroelectric plant after Don Griggs, a community pillar and champion here fighting for the West Valley Water District. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, absolutely, but I have a question for legal.
Okay.
Legal, we haven't actually agendized, the naming of a fixed asset. It just simply says tribute to Mr. Griggs, which I thought was just a matter of, marking his passing. So would this motion be in good order?
I believe so, Director Young, because a tribute to Don Griggs could include naming a building after him. So I think the agenda item is proper.
Okay.
Okay. If that's your question.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yes, I do have several concerns on this item.
Okay.
First of all, I do want to pass along my heartfelt condolences to the family of Don. Certainly it's right and just for us to honor his commitment to his community. I have nothing to lay shade on his activism there. I do have concerns about naming an asset like this in this manner, and I do want to discuss briefly some of those items. Number one, to my knowledge, and Peggy, you've probably been around here the longest than I think anyone maybe in the room, there's only one asset right now which is named after anyone, and that's the Oliver P. Romer plant. And to me, that it should be a very high bar, I think, philosophically, before you go naming something after an individual. And certainly for me, as a water agency, if we're going to name something after anyone, it should be someone who has many, 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 many years of involvement in the industry or this agency as a whole. Now, certainly Mr. Griggs has been involved here for several years. Again, I think it's perfectly fine and reasonable to mark his passing and to share our condolences with his family. But honestly, I'm a little leery about the idea of naming a plant after someone who, granted, had a very long career with Edison. It'd make a lot of sense for Edison to name something after Mr. Griggs based on what I know about his past, but I'm a little perplexed as to why we should be naming a plant after someone who was only really recently involved. So that's number one. I think, honestly, if we were talking about the passing of, say, someone like Butch Ariza, who had spent 50 years in this agency, I think that would be a whole lot more appropriate, to be perfectly honest. But anyways, but one of my biggest concerns is that we're talking about naming the hydro plant, which was a joint project with Valley District. Has anyone even talked to Valley District? They paid for this plant 100%. We are currently paying them back our portion, but this was a joint project. So the idea that we're going to name a joint project without engaging them, I think is a little bit premature, to be perfectly honest, Mr. President, because it's not our project to name. I mean, if we're going to name that project, it needs to be not only someone we all agree on, but someone that their board agrees on. So I think that we might be jumping the gun here a little, to be perfectly frank, because I think that that is maybe something that we should probably take into consideration, because I don't want to get crossways with Valley District, considering that this was really their project, which they spearheaded. They paid 100% upfront the cost of that project. I think that that entitles them to have a say on if we up and decide that we're going to name it after someone. So, I mean, I appreciate everyone's comments. Again, I think Mr. Griggs had a very long career in this community. I'm glad to hear the councilmen and the mayor's comments, I mean, honestly, they should probably look at naming something in the city, considering his long involvement in the city of Rialto, but I'm a little concerned about naming a hydro plant that we don't technically put the money up for. There's issues there, I mean, to be perfectly honest, Mr. President. So I'm a little hesitant on this. I think that we can certainly discuss the idea of maybe naming something after Mr. Griggs, but certainly something that we did not do as a joint project with Valley District, and they paid 100% of the cost for it. So I really think we need to kind of pump the brakes here and really kind of take our time and deliberate, and never mind the fact that it should be a bigger discussion, and one which, you know, because honestly, reading some of these letters, it looks like half of the community of Rialto knew about this plan before the board even had a chance to even hear it. So I would just like to think that we can maybe slow down, have a larger discussion about this, because I don't think naming particularly a plant that we didn't pay for.
Okay,
is
that's,
smart.
okay, so you made your point. And Dr. Young, if you have a point, if you have some comments too.
I have a question to legal. Mr. Tafoya, Robert?
Yes, sir.
The ownership of we're talking about the hydroelectric plant, not the major Roma plants, right?
That is correct.
Who has the ownership of that?
You know, I thought we owned it, Dr. Young, but I can't say that for sure. I know that we do control it, and so, but I can't say that for absolute certainty. Clarence, do you know?
Clarence?
The plant was funded by a loan from Valley District, and.
So we own it?
So we own it.
We own it. Okay, so that dispelled, okay, Dr. Young, do you have another question?
No, I want to see some evidence of that.
Okay, so.
I want to see some
okay.
evidence of that.
I understand, and the request is there, and staff, please follow up as appropriately. I do want to say this, there is some hesitation and concerns, you know, but it's always the right time to do the right thing. We are discussing technicalities and discussing supposed legal issues and other issues when it comes to someone who committed themselves in our community, who committed themselves to West Valley Water District, and ensuring that the ratepayers' voices were heard, ensuring that the issues and concerns here were brought up and addressed. I know Mr. Griggs didn't always have a compliment for every member of the board of directors, but let's put that aside and be bigger than that day. This reminds me of King David, a man after God's own heart. And it's up to you. We're all a group of kings now. And we get the opportunity to go back and find our Mephibosheth, the person who was the son of someone who was your opponent, the son of Saul, and to put them with a seat at the table. Now, you can tell I've been in Sunday school, and Dr. Beckley has taught me well, because it's important that in this moment we don't just see our own individual issues, but we see the bigger picture of this community. So I implore everyone to let's be on the right side of history. Let's be on the right side of this moment. Let's do the right thing right now. You know, this would be a testament not only to Mr. Griggs, but really the community. And so I'm asking you whether we have to go to Valley, as some people may say we have to do, But I'm not sure if that's the truth, but if that's what we have to do, then put me on the agenda at the next meeting. Because we're gonna go ahead and do that. So we do have a motion on the floor. We do have a motion on the floor. You have had your chance to have discussion.
I would like to make a substitute motion.
Well, I have the chair, here's your cheat sheet.
I have a substitute motion.
Right, you may have, but as far as who gets to determine.
Read your sheet.
I'm reading my sheet, it says here, the chair gets to determine.
I would like to make a
No, the
substitute
chair doesn't
motion, Mr.
determine.
President.
He sure does.
No, sir.
Yeah, he does.
No.
Yeah, he does.
No.
Amendments and substitutions. Other members may propose the amendment substitutions, but the choice of what it is goes to the chair. You put these rules.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President?
You'd like to make.
Mr. President?
Mr. President? Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Now, both the youngs have had their say, now I'd like to say something.
Yes, Dr. Taylor.
First of all, while this was a bit of a surprise to me,
You did have your opportunity to ask questions, you asked some legal questions.
you know, I didn't interrupt. I would ask for a little decorum, please. I didn't interrupt anyone. Like I was saying, while this game is a bit of a surprise to me, first of all, this is not something that's uncommon. When you have somebody that's done some things that have been very, very good for people in the community, oftentimes things in that sense. What I'd like to say about Mr. Briggs, I got to know him as a person during the time at West Valley. And while we didn't always agree on things, I found him to be a kind and honest man. And his intent on looking forward to help the district was well placed.
Hold on, Dr.
He was,
Taylor. Hold on, Dr. Taylor, real quick. Someone else needs to put themselves on mute. Don't just, it's not silent mute because you're listening in the background and it's creating an echo. And we can't hear the speaker when you do that. So just please go on mute. Dr. Taylor, can you please continue? It's just, someone was making it to where we couldn't hear.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. Like I said, I found him to be a kind, spirited man, whose heart was in the right place, and he was doing what he thought would be the right things for our community. He was not only a kind and good citizen, he was a very good civic-minded watchdog for government entities such as ourselves, and it kept us in check and it kept us on balance. Like I said, didn't always agree with what his views were. Him and Mr. Hardy, who came as a team often to talk, but I agreed with the fact that they were keeping an eye on the place. Like I told them, I said, you guys are doing us a favor because if it's not for you, we may stumble into things and make poor choices, and at least you keep us on our feet and make us do our job to dot all the I's and cross the T's before we do something. I'd also like to thank him for his service in the military, fighting for our country. As you know, I come from a long lineage of military people. My grandfather was in World War II. My father served 2 tours in Nam. My brother was in the Army in Korea. My wife was in the Air Force, served overseas in Japan. My son was in the Air Force also. And my stepdaughter is currently in the Coast Guard. So I know about military service and service to the country, and it's not easy, and I want to thank him for that. I can think of no better tribute to somebody who's been a fine community member, a good civic-minded member, and somebody who's given what I would call a large part of their life to public service to the community, both in the military and even with medicine, what they do for us. So with that, Mr. President, my vote is going to be an affirmative yes, that we name this plant in honor of Mr. Briggs.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's his.
Mr. President, may I say something?
Yes. Yes.
I would just like to say that, you know, much like the other board members, this came as kind of a surprise to me. I've heard some rumblings about some consideration of doing something in honor of Mr. Griggs. I do have to say that I agree with arguments that were made by multiple board members here this evening. But first and foremost, I want to give my condolences to Mr. Griggs and the Brown family as well. And like Dr. Taylor said, he did a great job of keeping us in line, and there were often times where we didn't see eye to eye, but that was neither here nor there, and it's just our job to keep things moving for what's in the best interest of the public and the ratepayers. However, I am not opposed to entertaining the idea of honoring Mr. Griggs in some way, shape, or form through West Valley, whether it is a building or a facility or, you know, whatever. I'm sure we can discuss some options. I would just make the suggestion that we not rush this decision, as this appears to be very rushed in my opinion, and we explore some more options, whether it's legal options, whether it's opinions of board members, and rather just be on the spot at, you know, 8:45 on a Thursday night. So I'm just going to make the suggestion that I would suggest our other board members entertain the idea of at least tabling this, at least till the next board meeting, so where we can discuss all our options rather than just kind of spring it upon right now. Thank you.
Well, that was going to be my substitute motion. So, is that a motion by you, Kyle?
Wait, hold on. So I'm the chair of the
Tell
meeting.
me what to do.
What? But I can't chair the meeting. I can't chair the meeting. And so the determination as far as who's gonna call the motion, there's one on the floor as we speak right now.
We have a ability to amend or to substitute. We have that ability. So you're taking that right away from a board member?
No, well,
Are you taking that right away from a board member?
Dr. Young, can I just make a substitute motion that we table this item for future discussion as Vice President Crowther basically requested and substitute a motion?
Okay, we're gonna have a discussion about where we're gonna have a substitute motion. So we're not getting around it like that. I understand and I understand the rules of this body. I also understand that these kind of tough decisions.
Why weren't board members notified of this prior to getting on the agenda? And on the agenda was no explanation.
Wait, hold on.
I got an explanation from a community member this afternoon.
Well, first of all,
did it go through one of our committees?
Hold on. Are you?
Did it go through one of our committees? I'm asking you a procedural question.
Hold on.
Can you answer the procedural question?
I'm gonna let you.
Did it go through one of our committees?
Please finish with everything you have.
What I'm saying, this was improperly put on the agenda for us to vote on an item. It was not discussed in any of our committees, not one.
Okay.
As a board member, I didn't find out about this until I got a call from a community member this afternoon.
Well, just because you speak loud doesn't mean your point gets stronger. Just because you raise your voice doesn't mean your point getting stronger. You can tell me how you feel.
How to speak. I'm a trained speaker. You cannot tell me how to speak. I know how to speak.
I know how to speak too. And
we have a substitute
you don't right, but you know what? But I'll tell you what. I'm gonna tell you that you have feelings, but on my side I have facts. And I will say this. I will say, but you had the opportunity to make your point. Absolutely not. But I will say,
put it on the agenda providing the explanation.
Dr. Young, if you want to continue to yell and talk over me and not act with a sense of decorum, you may do so.
Okay,
because that's what you're doing. You're not. I would ask you to act with a level of decorum right now, because we're talking about someone important.
You're not an authority to me.
Okay, well, you know what? You know what? I'm the duly
I'm the duly elected chair of this particular body, and so that's how it works. But I will say this. This is what I will say regarding this matter. You may feel a certain way, but the facts are quite different. If we go back, it's on video, to our last meeting, we asked staff to come back and make a report. That occurred on July 16th, Thursday, July 16th. It's what happened. There was direction given to staff to come back and put together a tribute for Mr. Griggs. That's what was stated. There's no getting around that. There's no moving around that. It's live. We're on recorded for that. Secondarily, in regard to this particular agenda item, now, what day of the week was this agenda item distributed to the board members? We've had a lot of hubbubaloo from my right side regarding when they received agendas. Now, it was Thursday of last week. If there was any, hold on, Mr. Young.
To Mr. Don
Mr. Young,
that's
Mr.
all
Young.
the agenda said.
Mr. Young, Dr. Young, you had your opportunity to speak. Can you please act with the level of decorum? We want you to act with a level of decorum. The community wants you to act with a level of decorum. Please do so.
You're speaking
Well, I mean,
are you speaking from the community?
I'm
For
sure.
the community.
I am. All the residents of District 4,
Not me.
they duly elected me to be able to speak on their behalf, and I'm doing so right now. So, since last Thursday, this agenda was in your mailbox. Somehow, between last Thursday and this Thursday, there was 4 days for you to have, and this is something that has been bemoaned and belabored on this particular body, that they get their agendas on time so they have the opportunity to review. And the facts are, not the feelings, are last Thursday, you received the information regarding this particular tribute. That's what happened last Thursday. So you had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, before the 72-hour rule kicked in per Brown Act to make any amendment, any change on the agenda. And that's not what happened. Don Griggs Memorial Presentation. What is your?
That's not what
do you mean?
You put a motion on the
Wait,
floor.
hold on. So I'm glad you pulled up the draft which says Don Griggs Memorial Presentation. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I did put up under there the memorial. Memorial presentation. Where it's under business item.
Presentation is not
And the memorial presentation. Now, this is what I will say, and I will say this: the community. I didn't organize the community. They did hear that that our district wanted to do a memorial, but the community has had a voice in this process. Duly elected members who are here on our city council in the city of Rialto, where you reside and I reside. Your former colleagues at Cal State San Bernardino, pastors and other community leaders on their own volition decided that they saw something. They wanted to make sure that it was enshrined and there's a testament and a monument to Mr. Griggs. Now, we can, if you all want to have a discussion and debate about what it should be, that's fine. That's your choice to do that. I'm not saying you don't have a right to have that discussion. However, in regard to me, I'm going to listen to the community's voices. I know that the community and the people should have a voice within this body and this organization, and that's exactly what Mr. Griggs stood for. That the community should have a voice and a say, and that we are elected. We are not kings. We're not up here. We're here to listen to them and help be good custodians and leaders on their behalf. And so we should act in accordance with that. And hold on. I study government.
Concept of government is absolutely wrong.
Right, and my concept of government is democratic. You know what? And I believe in democracy. We can go to the Federalist Papers. We can go back to Socrates. Whatever you want to do, and we'll have the time to opine and have those good old discussions. But I'll tell you this: as far as my concern, as far as the people I represent, and as far as this individual, including this man's widow. This man's widow who lost her husband, who was a proud Marine, who was a proud committed servant, who spoke truth to power. I'm not going to tell that person, no, I was raised with enough character, backbone, and strength. Even if somebody criticized me, you do the right thing when it's the right time. And you get over your ego and you get over yourself. That's all I'm saying. That's all I have to say about this matter. Mr. General Manager, you have something to say?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for your leadership in moving this matter. Right after Mr. Griggs died, you and I had a conversation, you called me and we talked about something that would be fitting, but then the community came, voiced their opinions, and they came up with the idea of Oliver P. Romer. And so since that day, you've been a champion in terms of trying to figure out what to do and make something happen. So I just want to say I appreciate that, and I'm sure the community appreciates that.
Thank you. But it being said, you guys want a substitute motion? Let's call it. Mr. General Counsel, we have a substitute motion on the floor. So Secretary Ashe has been moved and seconded. Let's see if the substitute motion carries.
Director Dr. Michael Taylor.
What is the substitute motion now?
The substitute motion is the table the conversation for a subsequent meeting. August 20th. That's my amendment to the substitute motion. August 20th.
Is that your amendment to the motion?
That's amendment. Their motion is that to table the discussion for a subsequent meeting.
No.
Okay, he votes no. Keep going.
Director Young.
Yes.
Director Dr. Clifford Young.
Yes.
Vice President Kyle Crowder.
Yes.
President Channing Hawkins.
No.
3-2.
Okay.
To table.
To table. Okay. All right. Well, it appears the motion table. All right. With that being said, let's move on to other agenda items. With that, I think that's it. We have now reports from the board members, 5 minutes maximum. That's great.
I don't need to be acknowledged, but someone talked about mine.
Oh, can somebody go back on mute again? I think it's the same person that keeps coming off mute. Stay on mute, please. Thank you. Okay. Director Young.
Thank you, sir. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I want to thank staff for all the good presentations tonight. I do want to again express my heartfelt condolences to the Griggs family and to everyone who knew Don. I did have the pleasure of actually joining them on that tour of the Romer plant and got to meet a lot of them, and it was a very enjoyable day. And again, I was very sad to hear of his passing. You know, as some of you know, I work in healthcare at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, and you know, we've lost a lot of really good people lately, and I know it's been particularly rough these past few weeks, especially. I can know of a few individuals who, fairly new into their medical training, have literally seen, you know, sometimes as many as 6 or 7 people die in just one shift. It's really a difficult time. So my condolences to the Griggs family, and again, I think that there is consideration for possibly naming something after Don, and I look forward to having a more tempered debate, hopefully, in the future. I know it got a little off the rails tonight, but I do want to say that while I do have trepidation about the hydro plant, I would be interested in discussing other alternatives as well. In part because I just, have whether we legally own a building or not, if it's a joint project, there should be, I think, due consideration to our partners. With that being said, again, just thank you everyone for coming out, and please to stay safe out there. Again, it's a scary time, and I know we passed a lot of stuff tonight related to COVID and giving some of our employees some additional paid time off, which I think is really appropriate. But just please stay safe out there, people. I mean, this is a real thing, and we all need to take it very seriously, continue to wear your mask, continue to social distance. Everything you can do to try to mitigate the spread is very helpful, especially for those of us on the, unfortunately, the end of the train in healthcare. We see the end result sometimes of people not doing the right thing. So I just want to publicly reiterate what a lot of elected officials say, that, as far as we need to continue to do our best, as much as you might want to, having those big outdoor fiestas or parties, not always the best thing, and we're seeing a lot of outbreaks because of that. So please be smart about it, because it's sad enough that we'd lose someone we know here in this room, in Don Briggs, but it's being replayed across this entire county right now. And again, as someone who works at a hospital, I hear it far, far too much, and I see it in the eyes of the physicians I deal with on a daily basis. So just please try to be safe out there. So thank you.
I do have some comments. I know that we just had a heated discussion regarding Mr. Griggs, and I wanted to, if I said anything above the voice that I should have used or in any way, I particularly want to apologize to my colleague to my right, the most senior member of this August body, Dr. Young, for, being on the other side of him on this issue. But I want to make sure that in our discussions, even though they may get heated, that I'm big enough to acknowledge when it may have gotten above the level that it needed to.
Thank you.
Mike or Kyle?
Kyle, you want to say anything?
All right, Kyle?
No, I'm saying it's good.
I'm good.
All
Okay.
right. I'll go real quick.
All right, so, legal?
Channing. Channing.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Robert. Channing, I just wanted to say that, it was nice having a spirited discussion over this. And like I said before, while, a little bit of a surprise, I think that it's no better fitting compliment to someone who's done so much for the community and given so much of themselves. And I hope that we'll see this on the agenda once again very shortly. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. General manager. This should be general manager, then general counsel.
I have nothing else to say.
Okay. Mr. General Counsel, or should be legal counsel. General counsel, legal counsel.
Thank you, Mr. President. The board did consider several items in closed session. No final action was taken and no reportable action.
Okay, thank you. With that being said, meeting is adjourned.